Do you know how to protect yourself when an earthquake strikes? Hey, I'm Mario Lopez. Earthquakes can strike anytime, so learning and practicing earthquake safety is a great idea for everyone. Join us, along with millions of people worldwide, to learn how to drop, cover, and hold on during the Great Shakeout. We're all in this together, so make sure your home, workplace, school, and community are planning to shake out.
Join us and learn more at shakeout.org. Shakeout Day is October 21st.
Do you know how to protect yourself?
When the earth shakes, the ground moves, and things start to fall, you'll ask yourself, how prepared or unprepared are you? Have you removed objects from over the bed and over your head? Anchored your possessions securely to the wall. It won't be a pain, and you're not doing it in vain. Are your emergency kits packed? What about your family, your friends? Did they know what to do, how to get in touch, and where to meet? Do you know how to drop, cover, and hold on, covering your head and neck? What if you're outside? Or in a car? After the shaking stops, look around. Figure out what to do. Stay away from damaged areas. Turn on a radio. Reach out for help. And if you're trapped, do not move about. Stay calm. Only shout as a last resort. Once everything and everyone is safe, get prepared. An aftershock could be on its way. So before the earth shakes, the ground moves, and things start to fall, get prepared. Make a plan. Practice what you know, because an earthquake can happen anytime, anywhere. You never know.
All right, welcome everybody. My name is Brian Blake. I'm with the Central U.S. Earthquake Consortium based in Memphis, Tennessee, and welcome everyone to the Great Shakeout online earthquake drill for 2021. And this is the Southeast region slash East Coast slash Eastern time zone shakeout. And we appreciate you being here for our virtual shakeout earthquake drill. Today, there are millions of people across the country and across the world, actually, that are doing earthquake drills this morning. So again, welcome and thanks for being here. We appreciate some of our guest speakers. And before we go too far, we do have on our live stream this morning, we've got several platforms streaming at once. So feel free to post comments there when you can, or if you have questions, comments or questions, and we may not be able to see or reply to all the comments in real time, but we'll do our best to get to them one way or the other. This morning, we've got a number of folks joining us. Again, my name is Brian Blake with the Central U.S. Earthquake Consortium and the Shakeout. We have Derek Becker from South Carolina. Derek is the Public Information Officer at South Carolina Emergency Management Division. We have Glorimar Gomez representing Puerto Rico today. Thanks, Glorimar, for being here. We also have Glenn Granholm from Safety Proof and Kevin Caldball from North Carolina. We appreciate all of our guests being here with us today. So just real quick for our program, we've already done our intro, but we'll have some guest speakers. Our guest speakers will come on in a moment and give us a few presentations on earthquakes, how to be safe, ways that you can protect yourself and your family, and things that you can do to be better prepared for an earthquake. Then we'll talk about how you can be safe during an earthquake, ways that you can be safe in various situations, and then how to do an earthquake drill. We'll have a virtual earthquake drill at 10:21, and then we'll just have a few wrap-up comments, and then that'll be it. So the ShakeOut earthquake drill, it's an annual event where schools, organizations, and families practice earthquake safety, including drop, cover, hold on. And they also do other aspects of their emergency plans. Last year, we had about 13 million people participate nationwide in the ShakeOut earthquake drill. This year, we're at over 15 million. That's down slightly from 2019 due to the pandemic, but we're still encouraging people nationwide and across the world to get prepared for earthquakes. If you haven't already, we encourage you to learn more about the ShakeOut drill at shakeout.org, and we've also got a site that's in Spanish at shakeout.org/Espanol. So earthquakes, we're having a drill today that's going to be at 10:21. It's important to note we want everybody to practice what to do, but it's likely that earthquakes aren't going to happen on the third Thursday in October at 10:21 a.m. You don't know when an earthquake's going to occur. So if you're not able to have a drill today at your organization, your business, your school, or wherever, you could have an alternate date. Any day of the year is okay to do the ShakeOut. And earthquakes are not likely to happen when everyone is at work or school. So you can do the ShakeOut earthquake drill wherever you are, no matter where you are, because you might not always be where you were during an earthquake when you had your earthquake drill. So also, if you can, because of the pandemic, there are lots of things going on where people are doing remote work still. Some schools are virtual, etc. You can do a ShakeOut drill remotely, be it through distance learning, during a staff meeting, etc. We do have some pandemic-specific protocols for having an earthquake drill, and those are at shakeout.org/COVID, and then also on shakeout.org/Espanol/COVID-19, I should say. Again, if you're in person, right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, provide ample space between people during your earthquake drill, and wear the appropriate PPE such as masks or etc. During the drill. It's important to share your ShakeOut drill, so we want you to take videos, photos of it, and making sure that everyone can see people drop, covering, and holding on, which we'll talk about later. You can upload those to social media using the hashtag ShakeOut. You can also send them in to us. You can submit them on the ShakeOut website or email pictures to info@shakeout.org. So we've got a number of presentations lined up for you this morning before we do the earthquake drill. We'll start those now. I'll give a quick overview of the Virginia earthquake anniversary from the 2011 Mineral Virginia earthquake. And then we'll have Kevin and Derek join us to talk a little bit about earthquake preparedness and all hazard preparedness. Glenn Granholm will join us to talk about securing your space and things that you can do in your home or office to make it more safe for an earthquake. And Glory Moore Gomez will talk with us a little bit about last year's Puerto Rico earthquake and the importance of their efforts during the earthquake recovery down there in Puerto Rico. So just to get us going with the presentations, I'll start. Many states across the country have earthquake hazards. It's no secret that California has, and the West Coast has a large earthquake hazard and associated risk, but more than 25 states across the nation have at least a moderate earthquake risk, meaning that at some point in time, earthquakes have happened in the past and damaging earthquakes could happen in the future. So it's important that even though you may not live in one of these states where there's a moderate or high earthquake risk, you may travel there, you may find yourself visiting on vacation or for work or relocating to one of these areas at some time. So it's important that you know how to stay safe and what to do should an earthquake occur. In the central US, we have a number of seismic zones, but also in the eastern part of the country, there are a number of potentially damaging seismic zones. In 2011, there was a magnitude 5.8 Mineral Virginia earthquake in Mineral Virginia. So this is the 10-year anniversary of that. And that earthquake was felt by an estimated 1/3 of the US population. And it wasn't a particularly large earthquake, but locally there in Louisa County and in the town of Mineral, they had to basically, they lost 3 school buildings that were damaged and deemed unsafe, so they had to rebuild them. Numerous structures were damaged, homes and other facilities were damaged as well. In total, there in Louisa County, there was about $80 million in earthquake damages, and it took them about 5 years to fully recover from that earthquake locally. About 90 miles away in Washington, D.C., that earthquake caused about $300 million in damages. So the Washington Monument was closed for a number of years while they were repairing it. The National Cathedral was damaged, Central Station, and at the National Cathedral, they're still undergoing repairs there. So earthquakes aren't just a California thing. They can happen in many places across the country. And also even last year, there was a magnitude 5.1 earthquake in Sparta, North Carolina. It's a small town in the western part of the state. And it's a small town, about 2,000 people, I think, and I believe more than 500 homes were damaged. Again, magnitude 5.1, like the earthquake that happened in Virginia in 2011, is not a very big earthquake, but there's still some earthquake recovery ongoing from that earthquake. Kevin Callball from North Carolina Emergency Management is going to join us this morning and talk a little bit about that recovery process and what's happening in North Carolina since then.
Yes. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Brian, for highlighting the Sparta, North Carolina earthquake. Yes, it might not be a very strong earthquake with it being a 5.1, but it did do a lot of damage, and it proves it doesn't need to be a high magnitude earthquake of a 6 point something or a 7 point something to be very impactful to a community. As you said, over 500 homes and businesses damaged. Many of those had significant damage. And even though it's been 14 months, we still have recovery going on out in Sparta and surrounding communities. And that area is actually still feeling aftershocks today. So we know most people think of hurricanes in the southeast and especially in North Carolina, but we do have an earthquake risk. This is now our 23rd damaging earthquake since 1735. So it's important for all North Carolinians to know what to do when they feel shaking. Like this earthquake, we could have damaging earthquakes in North Carolina, but we can also feel really strong shaking from earthquakes outside of the state. Most of our state, the strongest shaking they felt was actually from the 1886 Charleston, South Carolina earthquake. So it's just important for all North Carolinians to know what to do when they feel shaking. And we're happy to see our ShakeOut registration numbers increase compared to last year. And we hope to have that momentum continue in years to come.
All right, thanks, Kevin. So as Kevin said, it's not that earthquakes are not occurring, and in this region, earthquakes are actually happening all the time. Year to date, in the central and eastern U.S., there have been nearly 1,600 earthquakes. Joining us now is Derek Becker from the South Carolina Emergency Management Division to talk with us a little bit about earthquake preparedness and all hazard preparedness and how earthquakes might affect folks in South Carolina and on the East Coast. Derek, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. Well, as Kevin mentioned, the 1886 earthquake is the largest earthquake ever recorded on the eastern seaboard. And unfortunately, its epicenter was in Summerville, South Carolina. And that earthquake was felt from all the way from Chicago to Cuba, according to reports at the time. And we've actually done studies here at the Emergency Management Division that if we were to experience an earthquake of similar magnitude, it would probably be or amount to the largest, greatest disaster that South Carolina or even the region has experienced since that 1886 quake. Despite all of our hurricanes and other incidents that we've had, it would be that 1886 earthquake that would be the most devastating. So what can people do to prepare? Number one, today, the Great Southeast Shakeout is the best practice. You want to practice what to do if we experience an earthquake, because we don't get major earthquakes that often. And so the more you practice, the more it becomes a reflex. Drop, cover, hold on. That way you know exactly what to do because you won't have a lot of time. The next thing you can do is check your home. You can do an earthquake home hazard hunt. We've got a link to that on our website at scemd.org. Make sure you have earthquake safety kits around your house. Disaster prep for an earthquake, you can apply to all the types of emergencies that your communities face. About 90% of what you do for an earthquake, you can apply to a hurricane, winter storm. It's just focusing on that extra 10% in specifying what's specific for earthquakes versus hurricanes and that sort of thing. So when it comes to earthquakes, a lot of our planning at the Emergency Management Division involves what we do immediately after, because despite all of our technology, we're getting close, but despite all of our technology, earthquakes can't be predicted. We can't see them coming like a hurricane. And so every bridge would have to be evaluated. Buildings for shelters would have to be evaluated, all of those types of things. And so folks at home can do much the same thing. And they can also check their insurance policies. Double check to make sure your insurance provider has an earthquake rider. Sometimes it can be as cheap as $6 a month if your provider offers earthquake insurance. So I'm gonna send it back to you, Brian.
Thanks, Derek. Those are some good points. And again, as Derek mentioned, in South Carolina, earthquakes, we've seen earthquakes in North Carolina this year, South Carolina last year, South Carolina this year, and you don't know when the next earthquake is going to be a damaging one or could cause injury. So it's important to be prepared. And one of the ways you can be prepared is by securing your space. And today we've got joining us from California, Glenn Granholm with Safety Proof. And Glenn's going to talk with us on the basics of non-structural earthquake damage mitigation and how you could prepare your home and or other spaces for earthquakes. Glenn, thanks for joining us. I know it's early your time, but thanks for being here.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. My name's Glenn, and today I'm going to be talking to you about step 1 of the 7 steps to earthquake safety: secure your space. Why are we even talking about building contents? Well, recent studies have shown that the probability of an earthquake that is so big that it causes building collapse is much lower than the probability of an earthquake that causes things inside the building to be tossed about. The 1994 Northridge earthquake showed this in dynamic fashion when almost 24 hospitals were closed primarily because of non-structural damage. So that's why we're talking about it. Any good writer knows to address who, what, where, when, why, and how when presenting an article to get information across. This presentation is like our own video article. We've already addressed why. Let's talk about what. Well, we conduct a hazard hunt. The photograph here shows a hazard carefully hidden in the bedroom. Do you know what it is? Locating hazards in your home is about as easy as identifying the fact that a bowling ball could fall on people's head unless it's moved. So let's find out exactly what is involved in conducting a hazard hunt. It goes like this. You're going to look around your environment and ask yourself these yes or no questions. Can someone get injured if an item fell on them in an earthquake? If so, secure it. Could an item block an exit if it fell over or tipped in an earthquake? If so, secure it. What if an item is attached to a gas line where if it moved in an earthquake, a potential fire could start? You'll want to secure that item. What about an item that could cause significant financial hardship to you if it was damaged in an earthquake? Secure it. How about things that just cause a big mess and you don't want to have to clean that up after an earthquake? Secure that as well. What are some examples? Well, a large item that could hurt someone if it fell on them would be like an entertainment center or a china hutch. How about items on an exit? On the next slide, we'll see a picture that shows several potential doorway blockers. It's in the center picture at the top. Some of these are wall mounted. Remember, size doesn't matter here. Doorway blocking matters. Dryers are often attached to gas lines. Be sure to secure those so we don't have a fire. At one point, I was asked to secure a autographed Joe Montana football helmet. It's a football helmet, but it was valuable and it got secured. And the last picture on the bottom right from my home is my favorite. It's about 500 items stuffed into a little house that's hung on the wall. Guess what? Those can be secured. In fact, you can make your home or work environment very safe ahead of the next earthquake. So how do we go about doing this? Well, not like this. This has been best practice for years. Angle clips, small pieces of steel put on top of items. In earthquakes, they tend to twist, bend, and separate. Bad news on earthquake shake table tests. Plus, you'd have to replace that bracket before the aftershock hit. So we don't do it like this. In fact, experts recommend now that you use either an engineered bracket or flexible fastening using very high bond adhesive. That allows the wall and the floor to move in different directions, which is what happens in earthquakes. So number one, we secure furniture and equipment with properly engineered and installed brackets or flexible adhesive-based fasteners. We secure collectibles or small items with earthquake putty or wax. We secure items that are hanging on the wall with closed loop connectors so they don't hop off the hook or the nail in an earthquake. And we ensure cabinet doors stay closed with proper connectors. They make them, connectors that lock a cabinet door closed only when an earthquake hits. In fact, all the items you need to make your space safer are available in most home stores or online simply by searching for earthquake fasteners. We're almost done here. We've talked about why. The probability of an earthquake creating non-structural damage is much higher than one causing structural damage. We talked about what? Conduct a hazard hunt, identify the risk in your own environment. We mentioned how. Properly secure non-structural building contents, step 1 to the 7 steps to earthquake safety. So who's going to do this? You are. If you need help, ask for it. When is it going to happen? Today. It's ShakeOut Day. That's on the next slide. I'm going fast. Where is this going to happen? Look around. Your entire environment is ready to be fastened. Go out and secure your space now and get ready for the next earthquake. Thanks, Brian.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Always an enjoyable presentation. Those are some great points that it's easy to do and anybody can do it. Actually, a lot of this stuff, it doesn't have to be an expensive proposition getting prepared for earthquakes. So lastly, one of our guest presenters is Glorimar Gomez down in Puerto Rico. Glorimar, I believe you had something to share, but you're welcome to come on camera now. Hey, we can see you.
Hi.
And when you're ready, I think you could share your screen, but you're going to talk a little bit about the earthquake last year in Puerto Rico, recovery process, and some things dealing with earthquake recovery. Thanks for being here.
Okay. Okay, are you able to see what I'm showing right now?
I am not seeing it, so let me stop mine and we'll get yours back up. Try it again.
Just let me know when it, okay, I'll try again, okay? Share.
Yeah, it's not coming. Oh, I think we got it now.
Is it?
Yeah, you'll just have to show your browser. There you go.
Exactly. Okay, well, thank you. Here in Puerto Rico, we have a major earthquake, a 6.4 earthquake on January 7th, 2020. Fortunately, for Puerto Rico, it was early in the morning, like 4 a.m. It was a holiday for us. And also, the family was, they were all together. So that was a blessing for us because otherwise it would have been very different story. Okay, so that happened on a fault system on the southwest. Actually, we only knew one of the faults. So we discovered, or it was discovered, that there's a whole lot of things going on in that area. I'm going to show you some of the damages in houses. Believe it or not, there was only one or two people, one or two fatalities directly from the earthquake. We have a bunch of people living in tents for a while. I'm telling you, for months. Okay, let me show you. See, I passed by this last weekend over to the southwest, and I could see that many or most of the structures are still damaged and haven't been fixed. Okay, this is the municipal building in Guanica. The facade of church. Many people lost their houses. Let me see. Let me show you something. Okay, this church I passed by last week, and still the same. It has like a signage on top that says, danger. But one of the things that, it might be more impacting is this school, the Agripina Seda. So we were very happy that the earthquake did not happen on a school day, because otherwise it would have been very different and very sad. So these are some of the pictures. I mean, it has affected our community big time, especially our peace has been shattered, because what we thought it was normal, it changed at that specific time. So we're still working along with the community, giving conferences, trying to let people understand that this is something that we are in a very high seismically zone. So this is something that is going to happen, that it might happen, the next 10 years, 100 years, but this is a possibility. Actually, there have been thousands and thousands of replicas, aftershocks after this main earthquake. One of our challenges is for the ShakeOut specifically, one of our challenges is more like, how come I'm going to tell the people on the southwest, drop cover and hold on? And then I'll say, well, there's many more things to consider in that situation. If the structure is not well built or is weak, So you can still save your life under a sturdy object because it has been proven. But so there's so the drop, cover, and hold on is a very easy way, and when most of us, we're going to find a place anywhere we are to just do so. So that's something that we're sharing with our people, our community.
Thanks, Florimore. Certainly, our thoughts were and still are with the folks down there in Puerto Rico. It just goes to show a 6.4 magnitude earthquake is like something that we could have here in the continental U.S. and the central U.S. and any number of states or on the East Coast, and that's a sizable earthquake that is going to impact the community there for a long time. And similarly, if one were to happen up here, it could have long-lasting impacts. So thanks for that information.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the program, which is getting ready for the Great Shakeout earthquake drill. So earthquakes can happen anytime and almost anywhere. And most of the injuries that occur during an earthquake happen from falling objects and flying debris. And so it's important to practice how to stay safe. And today during the Shakeout, we're doing that along with millions of other people. We're practicing earthquake safety. So how can you stay safe during an earthquake? If a table or a desk is nearby, it's always recommended to drop where you are onto your hands and knees, cover your head and your neck with one arm and a hand, and then crawl underneath the table or desk for additional shelter. And you want to stay on your knees and kind of bend down so you can protect your vital organs. Then you want to hold on to your shelter with one hand and keep on holding your position until the shaking stops. And if there's nothing to get under, you could get next to a wall, away from any windows, but again, staying down in that crouched position until the shaking stops, protecting your head and your neck. You could adapt for your situation. So if you can't get down onto the ground, don't, kind of bend over to the best of your ability. If you're using a wheelchair or a walker, you want to lock the wheels and set the brake, bend over and cover your head, and then hold on till the shaking stops. And you can place something over your head too, like a book or something else. We have lots of instructions on how you can stay safe at earthquakecountry.org/accessibility. And these are all part of step 5, the 7 steps to earthquake safety. So we've also got videos on that webpage of how you can stay safe in a different situation, depending on your mobility. So for instance, if you're using a wheelchair or a power wheelchair, you could lock the wheels, cover your head, and then hold on until the shaking stops. If you're able to, you could get near a corner if you're inside, and then lock the wheels and lock the power wheelchair, cover your head, and then hold on until the shaking stops. And it's very similar if you're using a manual wheelchair or a rollator. You want to lock, cover, and hold on. If you're in a walker and there's a chair nearby or something like that, you could sit down in the chair and cover your head. Some other situations, if you're in a high-rise building, whatever building you're in, you don't want to try and immediately evacuate because you could be hurt by some debris falling on you. But you want to drop, cover, hold on, basically wherever you are. If you're in bed, though, you want to lay face down with a pillow over your head, wait until the shaking stops. If you're in a stadium or a theater, drop, cover, and hold on. If you're in a store, drop, cover, and hold on. Get next to a shopping cart or something like that, because there could be items falling around you. So we're gonna do an earthquake drill now. It's time for the Shakeout. So what we want to do is, in just a moment, I'm going to play a drill broadcast. We want to have everybody practice drop, cover, and hold on while that broadcast is playing. So again, this is about being safe and not doing it fast. If you're able to, when I start playing the drill broadcast, drop, cover, and hold on. If you're unable to, you could bend over and cover your head and your neck to protect yourself. If you're wearing headphones, make sure that if you're using wired headphones, make sure you take those off so they don't unplug from the device that you're watching the drill on. So with that, we'll get started. There's no sound happening right now.
This is the Great Shakeout, one of the largest earthquake drills ever. Practice now so you can protect yourself during a real earthquake. This is an earthquake drill. Right now, drop, cover, and hold on. Drop to the floor now. During a large earthquake, the ground might jerk strongly and knock you down. Take cover under something sturdy to protect yourself from objects that can be thrown across a room. Hold on to your shelter until the shaking stops. If you can't get under something, stay low and protect your head and neck with your arms. Now look around. What objects might fall or be thrown at you that you should secure in place before a real earthquake? Finally, a strong earthquake may cause a tsunami. If you're near the ocean during an earthquake, drop, cover, and hold on. Then quickly walk to high ground after the shaking stops. This drill is over. Visit ShakeOut.org for simple steps to help you survive and recover from a major earthquake. Thank you for taking part in the Great Shakeout.
All right. So everyone just participated in the Great Shakeout earthquake drill, and thank you for doing that. So just some questions you can consider after this. What did you learn? You know, this is something that this year, if you're just doing a drop, cover, hold on drill for the first time, you could take it a step further, and next year or later after the drill today, you could start securing things around your space. If you look around, you think about what things might fall on you or injure someone in case there was an earthquake. How could you move those things so that they wouldn't hurt someone? If power was out, what would you do? Do you have a generator or a backup power supply or chargers for things like your phones? Then other things you can do, what should you have in a disaster supply kit? You know, those are important things to have after a disaster. You may be, like an earthquake, you may be on your own for a large period of time. So with that, thank everyone for participating, and you can learn more at any of these websites. Our program today is over now. So thank you again for participating. Visit shakeout.org to get more information and tips on not only how to stay safe during an earthquake, but things you can do before and after an earthquake. So thanks to our participants as well as our guest speakers for being here today.